there, Ívar by Ívar's Fly Workshop. Today we are going to tie a fly which is called Brúnka. Brúnka is an all Icelandic pattern made by my mentor in fly tying and fly fishing, and yeah, it's made by a good friend of mine who passed a few years back. And Brúnka is it's a nymph. The author of the Brúnka, or the man who designed it, was called Jón Sigurðsson. And when I grew up here, he taught me fly tying and fly fishing and all sort of stuff. Brúnka is a really good fly, so pay attention. We'll use a thread number 8. This is hook number 10. You can tie it from 10 down to 16. Like a heavy nymph hook. Start by attaching the thread to the shank and then attach the copper wire to the shank. Then we take this like a kind of look like a reddish brown floss and wrap that around the shank. It's a relatively simple pattern, but absolutely worth it to tie. So we leave the thread after fastening down the floss like this. We leave the thread in the middle of the shank, just like where I left it. Then we wrap around the floss to create the rear part of the body of the fly. One more wrap, and then we lock it in place there with our thread. Lock it like with 2 or 3 tight wraps, and then we have to trim away the remaining floss. Snip that off with our scissors, and then the existing floss on the top. Then for the front part of the fly, we will be using a dark brown floss. But before we put on the front part, we are wrapping the copper around the rear part and fasten down the copper, because the copper is only covering half of the fly. So the thorax of the fly is without any copper on it. So we tied down the wire. I use my wire scissors for it, so, or otherwise helicopter it off, depends on the stiffness of the wire. Now for the frontal body we are going to use a brown floss. I'm using actually a brown Aurora yarn, which is almost the same thing. It's not as shiny, but it will do the job. In this case, actually, you could use like a little darker thread, like a darker piece for the front body, but this will do the job as well. It should be a little bit darker, but that tone I don't have, but it doesn't matter. You can as well like paint it dark or get it dark with a marker, like a permanent marker or something. There are many ways to deal with that. Then we wrap this front to the eye of the hook. Not further than that. We are going to lock this in place because we have to leave it just like a millimeter there, like a space there, because we'll be placing a wing on this fly. Then we will just trim off the remaining Aurora yarn and create like a head or like a place for the wing. And for the wing of this fly, you can actually use, I'm using a pheasant there, like a tail feather of pheasant, like a small feather. You can use a wood duck as well, something which is brown. Something like which is brown will do, like a brownish gray color will do the job. And I'm using the pheasant there, and it comes out beautifully. And then you just attach that to the shank of the hook and build up the head of the fly just at the same time. And like Jón, or the designer of this fly, liked, he trimmed all of his wings on all of his flies, and just go half the way on the front body, trim it off like this. And once I asked him, why do you trim all your wings? And he said, he looked at me like I was like, I knew nothing about fly fishing. And he said, well, you know, young man, this catches much more fish than with a natural wing. So he had all his wings on his flies chopped down like this, at least to the nymphs. So we are done with the whip finishing job. Now we'll just trim the thread off and give the head of the fly a little coat of a varnish. And when we are done with that, we'll let the fly dry until it's like ready to take out and go fishing. Yeah, just thanks for watching and all of the response the channel has got. Remember to like, share and subscribe. And I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.